Hi, welcome to Maree P. Today I want to share how to make these cinnamon raisin bagels with spelt flour. They're so light and fluffy. They've got the crunchy, chewy outside edge. They're not as complicated as they might look. I still need a little bit of practice on my form with my holes, but they taste so great. I wanted to share this recipe with you. So if you'd like to see how to make my spelt flour cinnamon raisin bagels, come with me and let's see. So the first step for our spelt cinnamon raisin bagels today is we're going to prepare our yeast mixture. So in this bowl, I'm going to measure out some warm water. So I've just popped a tiny bit of boiling water and some filtered water, so it's lukewarm to touch. I don't have exact temperature, but I'm going to put half a cup or 125 mils in this little bowl. I went a little bit over, but I'll work it out later. Actually, I'll take it out now just to be safe. I've got 125 now, and in there I'm going to add my dry yeast. In Sweden, it either comes fresh or in these little 14-gram packets. So I'm using half of the packet, which is 7 grams or 2 teaspoons. And then I've got a tablespoon of just white sugar. I'm going to let that sit for 5 minutes, and then I'll stir it and then sit it for another 5 minutes. So in my large mixing bowl here, I've got my white spelt flour here, which is 500 grams or 3.5 cups. You can also use bread flour. It just requires a strong or high protein flour, and this spelt flour is quite high in protein. I think it's roughly about 12 grams. In here I've got raisins, because they're cinnamon raisin bagels. That's 1 cup or 170 grams. I've got cinnamon. We love cinnamon, so I've added a little bit more. I've got 5 teaspoons here, but you can add a little bit less. And I've got a little bit of salt to put in with the bread. The 5 minutes is up, so I'm just going to give my little yeast mixture a stir, just to help that sugar dissolve. I meant to say, if you didn't want to use white sugar, you could also use honey or maple syrup if you prefer a vegan mixture. But the sugar just helps activate the yeast in it, because it's a sweet bun. It just adds a little bit more flavour. Okay, I'm going to let that rest for another 5 minutes. What you can do while you're waiting is, in your mixing bowl here, you can add the 1/4 teaspoon of salt and your cinnamon, and just get that mixed together with the whisk. That just helps everything get incorporated before you add your liquid. The other thing I like to prepare is a separate bowl. I like this medium-sized Pyrex bowl, and I like to oil it. So I transfer my dough into this to let it rise. So I always get that ready just so it's sitting there and waiting. So I just put a little bit of sunflower oil in the bottom. Veggie oil, you can grease it with butter. Or if you don't want to dirty another bowl, you can just leave it in the same mixing bowl. But I just think this is easier to handle. Then you can see if it's risen. And I bought this fun little cloth cover for my bowl, which I'm very excited about. It's from Zara Home, and that will just save on my plastic. Okay, the next step. My yeast mixture is nice and bubbly and foamy, so I'm going to pour that into my bowl. I'm going to grab a spatula just to scrape out any of the last bits. I'm going to add it to my stand mixer. I'm going to knead that for about 30 seconds until that's combined. I'll zoom you in so you can have a close-up look. I'm going to add more water, but I'm not going to use it all. I'm just going to add a little bit at a time. I'm going to leave a little bit at the base. I'm going to add the raisins. If you didn't have raisins, you could use sultanas or cranberries. And we need to mix this for about 3 to 5 minutes. If you're doing it by hand, or if you're using strong white bread flour, you may need 5 to 8 minutes. Spelt flour doesn't need or require as much kneading. Need as much kneading, I love that. So you can kind of gauge by eye whether you need any more water. It's better to go under than over. And we want the bowl to look super clean. Just going to bump my speed up. Let's just check it. It's looking really good already. It's nice and smooth and sticky. I think we're good to take this out. So I didn't use about 50 mils of my water. I like using the glass bowl because you can see, but then I find it really heavy to lift. Just coat with the oil. Pop the cover on, or if you don't have a cover, you can put plastic wrap or a damp tea towel. And we're going to rest that for 60 minutes. Back with my bagel dough, and it's lovely and risen. Today, because my kitchen is so warm, it only took about 45 minutes. So I'm going to just bring that out onto my bench top. Now I'm going to make 8 bagels, so I need to divide this, and it's about 130 grams each. I've got my scale here. Just going to measure them out. That's a bit too much. That was 150. 130 exactly. I love it when that happens. Okay, they're roughly about 130. Some of them are 125. So what I'm going to do is, like when I make my other rolls, I stretch it a little bit. Because it's a bit delicate because of the raisins, I won't try and go too aggressively. And then I roll it into a ball. So I'll just make them all into balls before I poke my holes. When I was test baking, I kept making the holes too big. So today I'm not going to try and make my holes too big because we don't want to destroy the lovely fluffiness that we've just created. I have a large baking tray to pop into the oven, and I've just popped it with my silicone mat. I tried both ways with paper, and the silicone mat was far better. I've got a little spoon here, and I'm just going to poke a hole with the spoon. Then just pop your fingers in and gently ease so you get like a donut hole, but don't stretch it too much. And I'll try and pop them all on one tray, but we might need 2 trays. I think I prefer it with not too big a hole because I like it a bit more puffy, so I'll just do a small hole. I wasn't watching what I was doing, and that one wasn't quite in the middle, Sue. We're called creative bakers here. We're not professional bakers, and I like to show you that it's something that you might buy at a bakery, but you can also make it at home. All my holes are poked, so I'm going to sit these with a damp cloth on top of them for 15 minutes, and then we do the water bath. We'll get all the water boiling for dipping them in. Pop a cloth on, I'll clean up and I'll start preparing the water. So I'm going to bring this pot of water, I've got about that much water in there. Add a little bit of salt. I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of honey. I'm going to bring it to the boil before I dip my bagels in. So our water is kind of got these small little bubbles there. So one at a time, I'm going to lift up my bagel gently from my tray, place it into the boiling water. You can do more than one at a time, but I'm just going to do one at a time just to make it easier. And just sit it in the water for about a minute to 90 seconds. Just want to make sure it's all, and try and flip it over if I can without destroying it. I'm going to lift it out and I'll keep going. So I'm going to use a bit of a strategy here. What I'm going to do is the flat side, I'm going to put the puffy side down into the water first and then flip it over so I know which one is the bottom. It just went a bit funny. Then I think they'll look a bit prettier. I think that little strategy was better. So lift it gently off the tray. And the top side I'm popping in upside down. And then I'm going back and just making my hole a little bit bigger. The bagels have all been dunked. I'm not going to do an egg wash today. I think it's a waste of an egg. So I'm going to just bake these now for 20 minutes in my hot oven. And I can't wait to show you. So my bagels are out of the oven and I've had them sitting here for about 5 minutes. And look at them. Some of my holes have closed up, but they're lovely and puffy still. That was the first one that I did that doesn't look as good, but I'm going to split one open and try it. Okay, I have the one that doesn't look so... Oh no, I'll do a good one. Just sticking to my thing a bit. And there it goes. Okay. So I'll cut one open. They're still a bit warm. But I like the puffiness this time around instead of making my hole too big. Thought I should do it properly and grab a plate. I think I'm hungry. Yeah, it's just gone past my lunchtime and I haven't had lunch because I'm filming. So this is going to be a nice treat. Oh wow, they're so fluffy and light. Look at that. And it's got that crispy, chewy edge. And it didn't really need the egg wash today. I know this is naughty having butter, but yum, they're just so good. I'm going to try and come closer so you can see how soft they are. Look how soft they are. And you've got this chewy outside. The butter's just melting because they're still warm. Yum. If you love cinnamon raisin bagels like me, give it a go. Let me know how you get on. And I love getting your comments. If you visited for the first time, thank you for clicking on. Consider subscribing. Don't forget, share it with a friend and hit the thumbs up. And if you love my recipe and you want to show appreciation and support, you can pop a little donation down below, hit the super thanks button, or I've also got a link to a PayPal account. Every little bit helps, goes towards filming, production costs, ingredients, and all that kind of stuff, so I can keep making more videos for you. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.